Okay, so this is our final spotlight of military veterans, active duty service members, and I'm so excited to share and introduce to you Navy Doctor and Lieutenant Shawn Johnson. Welcome and thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Great seeing you.
It's great seeing you too. So Lieutenant Johnson and I have known each other for 7 years. You can probably see Navy SEAL Legacy Foundation. I've been working with their foundation for a long time. This is something I got from one of our previous galas. And this is where we met 7 years ago, talking about community, brotherhood, and how to support Navy SEALs, which you were once. Now you're real big time, and we need more men like you. So thank you for just sharing your story.
No problem. Thank you.
So I want people to know your journey. You began in the Navy in 1989, and share with us a little bit about your journey and all of where you've come from and where you are now.
Okay. I'll try to sum that up because that's been a long time. If I can remember back that far, but yeah, as a kid, I wanted to join the military, and as a young kid, probably about 10 years old, and I thought it was, I just felt like a sense of duty. I just liked the uniform. Wanted to join the Marines until I found out what the Navy SEALs were, which nobody knew what Navy SEALs were back then.
Yeah.
And I kind of followed in my older brother's footsteps, who was in the Navy. He was a corpsman, just like a medic. And so I did that in '89, right out of high school. Was in the Navy about a year and a half. About 9 months of that period, I was in the Gulf War, the first Gulf War, with the Marine unit. As a medical asset, as a corpsman on the ground in Saudi Arabia and Kuwait. And then shortly after coming back, I went and applied to SEAL training. So I went to basic underwater demolition SEAL training, San Diego, Coronado. Made it through in late of '92.
Did you make it through the first time? I bet you did.
Well, yeah, I mean, I got rolled back for a brief period, so I spent like an extra month there. But
okay.
Other than that, yeah, made it through. Went to my first SEAL Team 2, and did some more medical training, Special Forces medical training down in Fort Bragg for about 6 months. We really focused on trauma, injuries.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to my second team, SEAL Team 4, spent about almost 5 years there. Then I went to the group level, which is like a higher echelon, where I started to work on my undergrad degree during that little break. And then I went to development group, where I spent about 5 years, Naval Special Warfare Development Group, and then back to group. And then at that point in time, I finished all my prereqs, applied for a program that the Navy had for like a scholarship for medical school. So I applied for that. In 2012, went to Virginia College of Medicine, medical school, graduated in 2016. Did my internship at the Naval Hospital, Portsmouth in Virginia. And then I did undersea medicine training, which is doctors that take care of submariners, divers, EOD personnel, Navy SEALs, make sure they're fit for duty. And so I've been doing that right now. And then my hope is to start my specialty training next summer in radiology.
I mean, your experience is incredible. You've literally done, in my opinion, the majority of things in the Navy, and a lot of it focused on medicine, but also you've gone on, I know you've done a ton of deployments and tours, and so few people go all the way up the ranks. And I mean, you've been in the Navy for 32 years and you just went through it like that. That's a long time and a lot of experience, and very few people have been a Navy SEAL to begin with, then become a doctor and then a lieutenant in the Navy. So, can you share a little bit how the Navy is retaining officers And like I told you earlier, my grandfather, he was 20 years in the Army before he retired. And there's a lot of people cut off about or leave the military at 20 years. What made you stay? But also, how is the Navy doing a great job or a better job of retaining some of this top talent to continue on?
Yes, yeah. For me, I'm very fortunate to basically live two dreams in one lifetime. Uh, and that's one thing I love about the military, was just that opportunity.
Yeah.
And once it was presented to me, and I seen this availability, I had great people, great leaders to kind of show me, say, hey, why don't you think about this? Try this. Here's an opportunity, and basically, I was able to take advantage of it. As far as good leaders, sometimes they're hard to retain. I mean, they're high commodity. Whether it's in SEAL team or medicine.
Yeah.
For example, doctors. I mean, they make a whole lot more money on the outside, so that's one incentive.
Yeah.
But they do their time, and that's what's required of them, and then they move on. But some, want to continue serving. They see the need, and money is not as important to them. Same goes for the officers in the SEAL team. So it is hard to keep good people past 20 years. People at that stage in their lives, start starting a family.
Mm-hmm.
So it's tough to keep going out on long deployments for months at a time. But the Navy has done a good job. I mean, they've tried to take care of people, especially in time of need. Guys got injured. We've stepped up a whole lot in giving services and providing, good care and resources for people to take care of them and their families while they're gone. So it's hard to do, but it can be done.
Obviously, I mean, the amount of life experiences to be able to have basically, like you said, two lifetimes in one. I mean, and you're still really young to be able to have that, and who knows what goes beyond for you. But I think it's remarkable. I think your story is what more people, men and women, need to see, that you can serve your country, you can fulfill your dreams, and you can do it all very honorably, making sure everyone's safe and secure. That being said, the Navy does operate in a complex and international environment. How does this affect the composition of the Navy? And can you kind of talk a little bit about the requirements and characteristics that are unique to the Navy as opposed to other branches of the military?
Yeah, I mean, as far as the Navy as a whole, I mean, of course, the water, the maritime piece is what our niche is. We're forward presence all the time, 24/7, always on alert, able to react, on a moment's notice to basically anything and everything, from terrorist attacks to natural disasters, humanitarian missions, whether it's domestic or abroad, be able to launch strike missions, work joint operations with other services. So yeah, it's very complex, very dynamic. And one of those things, I've learned over years is, diversity is a big piece of being able to do that. I learned in the military, you can get somebody from Idaho and somebody from, the city of Chicago and put them together, and they're forced to learn, from one another and learn about each other. And it makes those individuals better, and it makes, Navy as a whole better.
Yeah. Yeah. I always think of the Navy as being like you said, incredibly dynamic, but also agile.
Right.
Especially SEAL teams. We all know a lot about SEAL teams now, but just constantly being able to adapt and overcome. I think that's kind of the big branch of all of our military forces,
Yeah.
being able to do that. But it just seems like the Navy just understands, especially SEAL teams understand that sense of agility and speed at which doing it. That's what seems to be sometimes different than other branches, in my opinion.
Yeah, very much so. SEAL team, we adapt very, very quickly, because we know the environment and the enemy is always changing, and we can't just dig our heels in and just do the same thing and think it's going to work every time. So we adjust as needed, and being a small unit, a lot of real smart guys, they understand that, and they work together well to make those adjustments.
Yeah, yeah. Well, last question, because you really are one of the most impressive men I know, but also we're living, and I hope more people hear of you, hear your story, and just know that great people out there are out there like you, and they can be inspired by who you are and what you've accomplished. We're currently living in very strange times of a global pandemic, as well as a lot of political unrest across our nation. And tomorrow is the 4th of July. And you have so incredibly and honorably served our nation and still continue to do so. I just want to hear, what is your definition of what it means to be an American?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, to be, what is it like to be an American? For me, it's, I feel blessed to be in this country. I've, basically traveled the world several times over and seen, the way other countries are. And every time I come home, I'm always glad to be home. So I know how fortunate I am and how we are to live in this country. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for the opportunity that, the military's gave me, this country's gave me. I'm, grateful and I'm proud of the progress that the military's made, the country's made. Even in all these trying times, we seem to work it out. We seem to work it out. We seem to, make ourselves better as time goes on. Sometimes I wish it was a little bit faster with some things, but it's a little bit painful. But we stick to it. We're very, we persevere. And so I'm proud to do this in uniform. Like I said, I've been doing it for a long time, and I'll keep doing it until I'm not having fun anymore.
That seems like it's going to be a long time for you. I mean, you got your next journey and your medical journey coming up, and your specialty. And Lieutenant, I just can't say enough great things about you. I hope that you can inspire further generations. You are an incredible man. You are humble, you are kind, you are crazy smart. Our country needs you. We need to hear more men like you around our country, and just know from the bottom of my heart how grateful I am to be your friend. So thank you for years of friendship, and thank you for what you're doing.
Well, thank you for your friendship and for your support for the military and, of course, for the SEAL Legacy Foundation.
Always, always. I won't go drinking with you again, though.
Yes. Absolutely. We'll stay 6 feet apart and do that.
Exactly. All right. Thank you so much. Have a phenomenal rest of your evening. Happy 4th of July, and thank you for being the incredible man you are.
Thank you. Happy 4th.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye.